Good evening from Jerusalem. It is surely true to say that the October the 7th terror attacks and the war that followed them have brought nothing but abject misery to hundreds of thousands of people. For the victims of the attacks, for those held hostage, for the many tens of thousands in Gaza who've lost their lives or their loved ones or seen their homes and neighbourhoods obliterated. This, here in Israel and beyond then, is an evening when many people dare to hope an end might finally be in sight. Within hours, the last of the living hostages should be home. Thousands of Palestinian prisoners will then be released, and perhaps, just perhaps, that can begin to unlock a broader peace process to extend this ceasefire and give people here and in Gaza a chance to rebuild. We will talk about all that in a moment, and of course about President Trump's visit. He is in the air as we speak. But first, here is Emma with her account of a region in which so many people are genuinely tonight holding their breath.
They are readying for one of the most important missions in this country's history. The rescue of hostages from an ordeal only truly known to those who have lived it. For 2 years, this nation has lived with fragile hope, desperate to believe those taken will return. Now, finally, they are daring to believe these may be the final hours. Tonight, the Israeli Prime Minister addressed the nation, having been repeatedly accused of failing the hostages and their families.
This
is an emotional evening, an evening of tears, an evening of joy. Because tomorrow the sons will return to their border. This is a historic event that is tinged with sadness over the release of murderers and joy over the return of our hostages. This is a historic event that some did not believe would happen, but our fighters believed. Many in the nation believed, and I believed.
So many of the 48 still missing were taken at the Nova Festival. The faces of those who didn't survive now haunt this place. Liat's son is one of those killed. She prays other families will get the reunion denied to her.
I hope all hostages, 48, will come back dead, alive, but they all came to her families that are waiting for them. We want quiet. We want to live in quiet. Peace there won't be, but quiet, yes.
As part of the ceasefire deal, Israeli troops have pulled back towards the border. And aid is finally getting into Gaza. Amid the flattened ruins, the desperate, destitute and hungry scramble for what they can find. As their part of the deal, Hamas has been gathering the 20 or so remaining hostages as well as bodies of those who haven't survived. Soon they will be moved from here to Israel. Just a few miles, but different worlds.
This is the base where the hostages will be reunited with their families. Over the past 2 years, how often must they have thought of this moment? How often must they have feared it would never come?
This is one of the hospitals where the former hostages will spend their first nights, often with family, so they aren't alone anymore.
It's rare that the hostages want to sleep alone. They want one of the family members to be with them, and usually the family members fight who is staying with the hostage to sleep with him. We had here more than one time that a hostage came and the entire family slept in his room for the first 2-3 nights because they just And they told me in the middle of the night they touched him, and he said when he woke up in the middle of the night, he just said to himself, I hope that coming home here was not a dream and now I'm waking up in Gaza again.
As well as preparations for the hostages' homecoming, there are preparations for the arrival of President Trump. Determined to be a part of the day, he helped make a possibility.
Everybody's cheering at one time. That's never happened before. Usually if you have one cheering, the other isn't. The other is the opposite. This is the first time everybody is amazed and they're thrilled, and it's an honor to be involved, and we're going to have an amazing time.
In theory, it's now only hours until all the hostages are freed. Releasing them from the trauma of confinement and this country from the agony of the wait. Emma Murphy, News at 10, Jerusalem.
Well, let's take a look now at the latest detail on how the next phase of the ceasefire deal will actually work. Israel says all of its remaining 48 hostages will be released early Monday morning. It's understood 20 are still alive and they'll be handed over to the Red Cross without any displays or ceremonies by Hamas. The living hostages will then be driven to forces inside of Israeli-controlled Gaza before they're transferred to the Re'im base in southern Israel. There they will be reunited with their families before travelling together to one of the 3 main hospitals in and around Tel Aviv. Once Israel has confirmation all hostages have crossed the border, it will then, in return, release almost 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. Now, Emma, our international editor, is of course here with me in Jerusalem. I mean, it's quite hard to describe the sort of mood on the streets here. Intense anxiety, anticipation, I don't know what words one would use. But there's a huge amount ahead, including so much detail to work out, is there not?
There's a huge amount ahead in terms of the political situation, but if we just take a pause and think about the human angle of all of this, which is really what's playing out now, in the next few hours, for many people, what they have waited for 2 years is coming to an end. Somebody said to me today, it will be like the end of October the 7th, the night, that night seems to have gone on and on and on. And I think that there will be so many emotions, there are so many emotions, because it's not a straightforward picture in terms of everybody's situation. These hostages have been in an awful lot longer than many of the others that we've seen released over the past 2 years. Also, nobody is completely sure exactly how many of the bodies they're going to be able to recover. There is a feeling, although there had been a warning that all bodies had to be returned, there is a feeling, and families have been warned, that they are not going to necessarily get all the bodies back. And then just think about tomorrow. There will be some families for whom there is the great joy of reunion, but there are others who will simply receive a body bag and move from where they are to a dignified funeral. It is a dignified funeral they will have wanted to give their loved one for a very long time, but a dignified funeral nonetheless, and how difficult for them. I think the reality is there is great hope tonight, as well as great fear.